Hello everyone. Welcome to our weekly broadcast where we discuss everything that has anything to do with search engine optimization and at this point, generative engine optimization. Usually we discuss both because in today's world, one is not imaginable without the other. They are overlapping in so many ways. They drive one another, they have metrics and ideas that overlap as well. And this is basically the topic of today's broadcast. I'm in Smarty. I have been an SEO for more than 20 years. These days, I'm the co-founder of Smarty.marketing, which is a boutique SEO and GEO agency based in New York. I hope that is my final venture. I'm not planning to do anything else in my career. With me today and always, April, our director of social, as well as the most creative person on our team. She's good with design, brainstorming, ideation, all sorts of great things, but not so much as SEO. And that is great because she will be able to ask questions that more people can understand. Those that are not as deep in the topic as I have been for years and years. She will also be bringing up your questions, so please ask them on any social media channel you may be watching us from. We are broadcasting on LinkedIn, over at my personal account and Smarty, over at Twitter, X as SEO Smarty, at YouTube as in Smarty, and now on our official Facebook page, Smarty Marketing. Before we start talking about the topic today, I have a few updates from the industry as well as an announcement. So, first of all, the core update that we announced, Google announced, and we told you about last week is done rolling. This is your time to check if you had any impact from it. Search Console, Google Analytics, both are great to assess. So far, I've seen a little bit of an impact for a couple of our clients, but not as much. It looks like this update is not as impactful as the one we saw over the holidays during Christmas and New Year's break. That was a huge one. This one should be not, at least I'm not seeing anything really, really huge this time. So check it out. If you have any concerns or questions about the update or anything else, you can schedule a quick 15-minute call with me. You can find that option over at Smarty.marketing. Very easy. I'm not salesy. I will not sell you anything unless you ask. So please talk to me. I love talking to people. That is how I know SEO, through using it, through playing with tools and talking to all kinds of people. So that is beneficial for me as well. And Smarty.com is where I announce every week the topic we are going to discuss over these live events. Please subscribe and Smarty.com. Another announcement is from me personally. I'm going to host regular MAA, Ask Me Anything sessions over at our official subreddit. It is SEO for AI. Please find it in Google. I hope my team will post some links on social media where you're watching us from to help you discover that. We will have lots of great experts to talk about SEO for AI. Whether you are a developer of an analytics tool or any other solution that help people track or optimize for LLMs, whether you are an expert who create strategies for clients, everyone is welcome. You can apply to be a host over at my subreddit. I have a pinned post, highlighted post with the form that helps me create the lineup. I have quite a few great applications there, and I will start scheduling them out this week. So everyone who has already applied, stay tuned, and everyone who wants to apply, go ahead. Our subreddit is big enough now to give you a lot of exposure. It will definitely attract quite a few engagements and will help you as well talk about your tool, your business. That is, we welcome everyone and we are willing to help you grow as well. So please apply if you're interested to be a guest on these live shows. Also note that in your application, and we will have you here as well to discuss the topic of your expertise. With that, let's talk about SEO versus GEO. This is a big debate in our industry, which I honestly don't understand. And this is quite what I wanted to bring up. First of all, it is very confusing and misleading. I can understand why it exists because everyone wants to make money on making those GEO audits and charging for GEO strategy and implementation. To me, I'm not trying to claim those are the same. I've never said that. You can go back into lots of other newsletter episodes that are all available over at Smarty.com. You will never find me saying it's absolutely the same thing. No, it is not the same thing. There are a lot of objective reasons for that. First of all, those are two new channels. Not too many, but they're absolutely new channels. Those are ruled by not organic search algorithms, different goals, different metrics that we don't really have coming from LLMs. Not single one of them is giving us actionable insights into how they discover brands and URLs to cite or to mention in their AI answers. So those are not exactly tactics that the same tactics that you would apply to search engine visibility, for the very clear reason that's a new channel that works in a different way, that is ruled by different tactics. Whether you call it SEO, whether you call it SEO for AI, whether you call it GEO or AEO, I think those are two remaining leaders in this industry. There were quite a few more abbreviations over the months and years of us trying to figure this out. Well, however you call it, it doesn't matter at this point. We will call it the way the most people want it to be called. It's not up to us to make that choice or insist on one. I kind of get reasoning behind different abbreviations, and it's hard to argue. However you call it, it's not exactly the same. SEO is links. AEO or GEO is brand visibility, and those are not the same things for sure, and those are different algorithms. What about tactical approach? Let's talk about that. When you try to say SEO versus GEO, it always sounds like you need to pick one. This is the biggest issue that I have with the whole debate. You cannot, and it is not even a smart idea to try. First of all, you want to be in both, right? Every business wants to be everywhere it can. So there is no choice fundamentally there. And also it doesn't make sense in a way that SEO is visibility, search engine optimization. Visibility is, there are different studies of that. Let's say at least 50% of your chance of being visible in generative engine answers. It can depend on the LLM. It's more, you have more chances to be visible in Gemini and AI mode, less chances to be visible in Claude, which just searches less. But overall, no other tactic No other visibility channel gives you such a huge percent of success to be included in AI answer as visibility in search engines. We have a test. I hope it will happen. We were discussing this topic over at my subreddit with someone who wants to do a test and do just GEO without any SEO and build some visibility in AI answers. I took the bet. I will be, if that test happens, I will be reporting to you. I do have my skepticism already because depending on how you look at SEO, a lot of tactics that are now being called GEO tactics are actually SEO tactics. And so we will see. I asked to record everything that is being done to the website, and I have some predictions there that half of those tactics will be SEO tactics, but we will see. It will be an interesting test to kind of see what people actually think GEO is, and whether it works. We will report to you on that progress. But so far, this is number one reason why GEO is not possible without SEO is because it's at least 50% of your success. If you're well positioned in search results, chances are you will be findable in LLMs. Some people will say it's 100% chance. Some people will say it's 40% chance. I'm taking the middle here. Let's say at least 50% chance. Tell me at least one other channel that gives you that high percentage of success in LLMs. That is at least 50%. No one. So if you ignore SEO, you also hurt your GEO. So there is no contradiction there. When I do my GEO audits, and yes, they are easier to sell at this point than SEO audits, just because of all the noise and buzz that exists in our industry, I always tell my clients, I will still assess your SEO. I don't do GEO audits without looking and very carefully looking at your organic search visibility. There is a very small chance of me to try to convince me not to look at SEO when I try to assess GEO. All those top citations, all those visible brands in AI answers, from case to case, it's always coming from organic search visibility. There can be a lot of different studies. Some studies contradict the other studies. Some will be very confusing and not even try to understand the data point behind it. But no single study would say that URLs totally invisible in organic search have visibility in all LLMs. There are exceptions. I talked about them a few times. There was a study that at least 1/3 of ChatGPT citations are not your top ranking URLs in Google. I have my own theories how that can happen, and I stand by those when I try to investigate on case by case why certain URL is cited by ChatGPT without ranking in Google. In many cases, that comes back to their OpenAI partnerships with huge publications. Those publications are often syndications of other huge publications. And in many cases, ChatGPT will pick the syndicated version, and that can be tracked down to their partnerships. We don't know exactly how those partnerships work, but we know that that is something that ChatGPT has to give back to those publications, and it is quite possible the deal is that it will cite those publications more. So there are a lot of other reasons why a URL can be cited. I'm saying this one, maybe there are others behind the scenes that we don't know about, but in most cases, if URL is visible, it will be cited by many LLMs. It includes, first of all, Gemini and AI mode. ChatGPT is very, very much relying on Google, and we've had a lot of discussions about that previously as well, covering all kinds of studies, experiments, observations, and my own personal experiments and studies as well. So it is not something to ignore or to even move your budget from. SEO remains a fundamental part of LLM visibility. If that changes at any point, trust me, I will report on that. For now, this is where we stand. Next, metrics. Everyone is very fast to say keywords are dead. Keyword optimization is dead. Well, I always ask one question. What data are you using if not keywords? There is no replacement. There is no alternative. LLMs, unfortunately, do not give us absolutely no data in terms of what people are prompting. Bing Webmaster Tools is the only platform that gives us grounding data. If you don't know what grounding data is, it is what LLMs search for when they try to answer prompts. In other cases, that can be called also fanouts. That's the same thing. You give LLM a prompt, it breaks it down to searchable keywords and uses search engines to answer those. Copilot probably is using Bing. We really don't know that. ChatGPT is likely to use Google. Perplexity and Claude is likely to use Brave search to search for those grounding queries or fanouts. Gemini and AI mode likely are pulling directly from search from Google. I don't think they perform searches, but maybe they do. That is something that is changing from case to case, from model to model, but that is basically what we are dealing with. So what do we have now? To summarize, one is integrated into the other. If you search Google, you will see AI mode, or you will see AI overviews, or you will be invited to continue in AI mode. So organic search is already very heavily influenced by GEO. If you prompt ChatGPT, Gemini, AI mode, Perplexity, they will search. In most cases, Perplexity will always search. It's not a real LLM. AI mode, Gemini, ChatGPT will likely search. What do they search? They search either Google or Brave or other engines that is also changing sometimes, but they will search. So your organic search visibility is defining whether your URL, your brand will be including in LLM answers. And finally, we are still ruled by SEO metrics. We still use keyword research because that's the only data that gives us any insight into how people research a topic and how they discover brands, solve their problems, answer their questions. Whether you like it or not, that's the only thing we have. We cannot do without SEO data at this point. We cannot just imagine what our target audience may be prompting. We still use keyword research. Whether we optimize the same way, that's already a different question. The fundamentals remain the same. We still want keyword visibility on the page. No, we don't take keyword density into account anymore, but that has been true for many years, months and years at this point. It is nothing new. Yes, we optimize for answers more, for question answer format. Is it new? No, it's not. It's been around since featured snippets became a thing for about 10 years at this point. Whether we keep an eye retrieval methods and trying to make sentences shorter, factual replies, and all of that fun using entities, also not completely new. So as far as I'm concerned, on-page optimization is not that different with LLM optimization either. So when you try to say GEO versus SEO, this is the wrong concept all over, because even if you believe GEO is completely different industry, completely different buying journey, completely different metrics we have to deal with, it still relies on many SEO aspects, including search visibility and data that we are working with. So that is in the gist, the end of this debate as far as I'm concerned. GEO is, of course, has not exactly SEO, at least in its traditional way. We have other things to deal with, including cross-channel alignment, product positioning, relevance engineering, all these things we did not necessarily care about in traditional SEO. Those are new, very complicated strategies, very long-term, ongoing strategies to keep an eye on. You can argue that is just the evolution of SEO and we don't need another abbreviation. That is not up to me. If you want to call it GEO, that is exactly what we call it, but it's inseparable from SEO. That is the biggest thing here to keep in mind. One does not exist without the other. With that, I'm ready for your questions. I know April had a few as well, so let's discuss those, but also join the subreddit. We have lots of interesting discussions there as well. Sometimes they're not as friendly as I would like them to be. People get very upset and very offended and very aggressive when something they believe in is argued, or even if I ask for providing citations or sources of their claims, people get incredibly angry with that. But that's Reddit. I'm trying to make it a kind space, but it's on Reddit, so sometimes those discussions are pretty aggressive, but it's also fun and you will learn a lot. Trust me, we have very cool discussions over there and lots of questions back and forth. So let's discuss today's topic. Let's see if we visibility everywhere optimization. Pod. That's a great. If it were up to me, that's the term I would be using.
VEO sounds cool.
Yes, VEO. It's also not as confusing as GEO, because trust me, search engines are as confused as us when it comes. Try searching for GEO. You will know a lot about geology.
My first question is like, have the best keyword practices changed all for AI visibility?
Best keyword practices, I would argue that they have changed for sure. The only thing that really changed, and I was guilty of that as well, so it's not just, I wouldn't say that it's shady or black hat tactics when it comes to SEO, but traditionally, we were not as concerned about necessarily relevance or our value proposition when we developed content strategy. So any keyword that was doable and not necessarily connected to the bottom line of what we are doing was a good keyword. So I would be writing, I was an SEO, I would be writing listicle tools that you can create animated GIFs or GIFs. I don't know how to pronounce them. And I would get traffic from that and I would be happy with it. I guess these days you should be much more selective with developing content that actually reflects the problems and questions of your actual target audience. You don't spread out that much because, first of all, clicks don't matter that much and we don't get them that much as well. But also, it is less confusing for LLMs when you stay on topic and talk about your audience and their problems and their buying journeys. So I guess this is the biggest change. It's not necessarily new. It's not necessarily something that LLMs had us to deal with. It started a little earlier than LLM optimization with something like helpful content. I think a couple of core updates were about that as well, when Google would not penalize, but de-rank pages that are irrelevant to the core topic or core angle of the domain. This is dirty signals when you are not focused on that, or you're not expert on that, or you're not relevant to that. You could lose a lot of visibility, and a lot of big websites started deleting those irrelevant pages. I think HubSpot was the most famous case when they had to delete like 1/3 of their blog because it was not about CRMs or conversions or anything that they actually do. So it's not exactly new, but now I would say it's more important to invest in content that actually deals with your real customers' problems.
So, how do GEO and SEO metrics differ?
Well, I think they are starting to overlap as well. Traditional SEO rankings, metrics are rankings and clicks. At this point, that clicks are not as many. We have to focus, and many decisions are made without clicking. So we are focusing on branded search more, on brand visibility more, and that is what matters for LLM optimization as well. That is exactly what we are tracking for that. One difference is a huge one that I'm personally focusing on is product positioning inside training data. That is something with search engine optimization we never had to deal with. And top citations, percentage of owned brand owned citations is a great huge metric. The more of your content is cited, the more you control the visibility of your brand as well. So there are quite a few new things we're looking at. We don't have reliable ways, like 100% reliable ways to measure that, because LLM answers are very much personalized. So you really don't know what a person will see using the same prompt. So I'm more looking at the training data positioning, and I run searches and unpersonalized searches, and more on like comparison with competitors. In comparison, you can tell a lot as to where you are behind, what are the gaps in the visibility. So those are all new things we are looking at. Branded search is not necessarily a new thing. We just focus on it much more because it represents your visibility. Elsewhere, a lot of LLM answers do not link to brands, so people have to search for them, and that represents kind of the indirect metric showing, okay, people search for that brand more now, so it likely is more visible in some LLM answers. So there are no 100% reliable metrics, but quite a few new ones that we either pay more attention to or try to implement and measure reliably that we didn't do with SEO.
A very interesting comment from Glenn. Hi, Glenn.
SEO targets general keywords. GEO SEO targets keywords with geographic modifiers or intent. And I like the GEO SEO. Let's just use all those acronyms in, in a row. I would argue that SEO necessarily ever targeted just general keywords. You would not believe how many articles I wrote 10, 15 years ago about micro intent optimization, local keywords, modifiers, organizing them by intent. It's all not necessarily new. I would say that as far as I'm concerned, the actual keyword research hasn't really changed as much. Maybe one thing that I really pay more attention to right now than, let's say, 5 years ago is kind of try to look at the keyword and understand the general journey behind it, what this person may already know about, how close they are to making a decision, where they are in the whole journey of understanding that problem and getting to solutions. Why I look at that more is because LLMs give all that within one answer. They do not do as many searches now because they can just ask ChatGPT and it will shorten everything within one answer. The whole search journey that took people a day now happens within a second. You can ask them why my ankle is hurting, why I run, and the answer will be some kind of sneakers that help with that condition. So it's right before they would do search after search after search to discover that product. Now it can come up with within a single answer as one of possible solutions. This is the biggest change. So when looking at keywords, I try to imagine this problem solution journey and how to help, how to add context on every step of it. But this is more like we don't have a lot of data behind that. You have to kind of think about every case, maybe do some searches, maybe look at AI overviews, maybe ask ChatGPT. So it's not like we have reliable tools to help us with that. But definitely keyword research is more about optimizing for journeys versus optimizing for a particular case. I hope today's broadcast gave some light to the whole debate that is incredibly noisy in our industry and very hard to cut through. So we will do our best to try to educate businesses as to what to focus on and what is still fundamental and should be prioritized. To me, it's still SEO, not because I'm an SEO, but because it is what it is. But next week we'll continue this discussion for sure. That's an interesting topic. Please subscribe at smarty.com to be notified when and where. We know when. It's always Wednesday 1 p.m. EST, but we'll give you a link in my newsletter as to how to join and which topic we're going to discuss. Please subscribe and smarty.com and let's keep in touch. Thank you so much for joining us today. See
Bye,
you
everyone.
next week. Bye.